Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Lloyd de Jong, and I am here today with one of the best Christian apologists in the world, a man whose arguments are so dangerous, whose knowledge is so profound, whose revelations are so deadly to Islam that he has to go under an assumed name. We only know him as code name Usama Darkwing Duck, the terror that flaps in the night. Welcome, Usama.
Hello, Brother Lloyd, and greetings to all our wonderful, great audience. And cannot wait to show you that all what Lloyd said was not true because I'm not that deep theologian he's talking about. I'm just a student of the Bible and I'm learning every day and I have a lot more to learn. So we're far away
What do
from
you? I
being,
saw you on TV. Are you saying you only play a theologian on TV?
well, listen. The people on TV do not know me for real. They think I am that great guy. So they speak very highly of me. And hello, look,
Hello,
justified.
Janice.
See, she's no people are gonna change their mind, they're gonna leave. Do
I
not
hope
leave, do not leave. Okay, I am a theologian. I got 2 degrees, but I don't know what to do with that degree without the true heart transformation. God is good. God's good, brother.
Yeah, no. So I mean, but that said, everyone Usama Dakdok is an expert in his subject. He knows Christian doctrine very, very well. He knows Islam very well, and because he grew up in the Middle East, he grew up in Egypt, in Africa. He's African like I am, but he's from the north. I'm from the south, and so he's my brother from another mother, I guess. We're from the same continent.
Hmm.
Yeah, he understands Islam in a way that few do, and he reads original Arabic. And he has written his own Quran. And this is a very highly educated man who we are very lucky to have.
Okay.
So, yeah, and today we're going to be talking again about the Quran, but I want to briefly introduce something that he and I will talk about in 2 weeks. Next week, I am unavailable. I will be traveling with family. I'm doing a bit of a road trip. So, next week, but the week after, I want to do a first iteration of the discussion on John Calvin and Calvin's alignment with Islamic doctrine, the reasons behind it, and how it really just how he adopted Islamic ideas, Islamic theology, parallels, adaptations into this. And I want to maybe bring up something just to give you a little bit of understanding. Osama, your camera is working. You there? Oh, there you are. You're frozen right now, Osama. Are you there? Osama disappeared. Let's give him a couple of seconds to come back. Emmanuel, he grew up with the Warsh. I believe he did. Let's ask him once he comes back. Usama Dakdok is back. The
I'm
man,
back.
the myth, the legend. Welcome. Usama,
Thank
did
you.
you grow up with the Warsh Quran?
No, Hafs Quran.
Hafs. Now we all know the Quran was canonized in 1924, not in 744, not in 944, but in 1924.
That's
Uh,
like 100 years ago.
that's 100 years ago exactly. And in my research, I've come across even Islamic sources that openly and freely admit that one, the Quran was not considered mutawatir until about the 15th century. That's roughly the 1400s. So the Quran was not considered mutawatir until the scholars decided, oh boy, this is a problem. Let's make it mutawatir and unquestionable, the chains of transmission. And B, Islamic scholars have written books that openly and clearly show there are differences between these multiple qira'at, these variations, and Muslims constantly deny this fact and want to claim it's not. But I mean, when one says she and another version of the Quran says her, that is not a grammatical variation. When it says they did or they didn't, or these guys attacked, like Group A attacked Group B, or Group B attacked Group A, these are contradictions. These are
That,
vast
that's
differences.
actually, that's sometimes worse than that. I like lemestum and lemestum as two simple words. I could not even see them when I introduced these two words. Lemestum is you touched. La and lemestum. Lemestum is a little bit a, one more a. It may have sex with. Imagine somebody said that man touched your wife. Oh, it's okay. They touched my wife. Oh,
You
that
know,
man had sex with your wife. Oh my God.
those are
He had
very
sex with
different
my wife.
things.
He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah. So these are differences. I mean, these are legitimate. Like when Allah says He did it, or Allah says she did it. I mean, those are not.
But even in the one Quran which we have, sometimes the verse come with a word, and it said you, you. Okay, now we do not know who is you here, and you go read the interpretation of the scholar, and they tell you scholar disagree, and they give you 4 different you or 8 different you. Which one do you like to have? So that's how clear the Quran is. That even in a simple sentence, you do not know who's speaking to who. Well, good
Yeah.
luck.
So how can it be a clear Quran? How can it be an perfectly preserved, unchanged? I mean, that is just obviously garbage. But yeah,
Yeah.
just
Brother
one of
Lloyd,
those things.
I'm gonna go out and I'll come back again because I don't like this camera. I have to switch a camera. So, but keep talking. I'll be back in a second.
Okay, you come back in a minute. All right. So while Usama changes his camera, let me bring up this. So I want to talk about. I'm busy working on this. I scrapped it. I started over. I scrapped it. I started over, and now I'm just gonna have to go with what I have because I really don't want to start from the beginning again with this. But I do want to talk about, at Usama's request, John Calvin. And again, this Islamic alignment in John Calvin's theology, bringing up some new information that I haven't covered yet before that he wants to talk about. And we need to really consider this odd, where's the loyalty of these groups, these reformed groups, if they are in alignment theologically with so much of Islam? Are they genuinely Christian, the way we would understand Orthodox Christianity as it's understood historically, or are they somewhere in the camp, one foot in the camp of Islam? Then what loyalty do they have to Christians? Do they have divided loyalties? And Usama is back. There we go. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one concern I have, let's just go back to Calvin quickly. One concern I have is that I've covered Calvin with you. We did a couple of episodes, and I've done episodes on my own as well.
And
Going
I,
through
and I, have,
the
brother, I have to confess, I thought I know Calvin. I didn't. That's a confession. Go ahead.
Okay, no, but I mean, you add perspective that I don't have. You have training that I don't have. It's harder for, not that I can't do these things, but I have to go and research and I have to go and read a lot and then, compile it. Whereas you have the training and experience, so that helps. But Calvin clearly, his theology aligns with Islam in certain strange ways, with Islamic faith and other concepts. Now we've covered that, but one has to wonder if Calvinism, if Reformed theology closely aligns with Islam on certain core philosophical and theological issues, what is their loyalty to the Orthodox Christian community if they have one foot in the Muslim camp? I mean, where do they stand on issues? Are they going to evangelize? Are they going to act as allies or some kind of compadres or some? You just have to wonder. I mean, where do they stand? Because there's a blend there that shouldn't. We are supposedly distinct from Islam, but these guys overlap in critical areas, and that for me is a big concern. Are they half Muslim, quarter Muslim? Are they,
I, I wish I can say that Calvin have the right doctrine, the right belief, the right ideology concerning Christ and the Scripture, and Muslims copy from him. But I'm sorry to say the things I'm learning from Calvin writings, as you presented to us, it does not match the Bible. And I'm thankful that we go back to the source. The source of our faith is not Calvin or Lutheran or Usama or Lloyd. Here's the source, the Scripture. If it is in the Word of God, the Bible, it's the truth. If it goes against the teachings of the Bible, I'm sorry, I will reject it even if it came from my own father.
Right. Well, let me bring up something about Calvin that may be interesting to some. And hello, everyone. Good to see everyone here again today. So Calvin enforced discipline in Geneva when he was there. He set up what's known as Sharia courts. Consistory courts. Let me briefly speak about that, just to give you guys an intro to this. So in Calvin's Geneva, they enforced very strict moral oversight. They had the mutawa. That's in Saudi Arabia. And the morality police. They enforced strict moral oversight through what they called consistory courts. That's interesting. Do you have consistory courts in your town that Usama or anyone else, do you have consistory courts in your town that oversees morality and fines people, punishes them, or potentially burns them,
In
kills them?
Iran, yes. In Saudi Arabia, yes. In most Muslim countries, if they're practicing Sharia in fullness, then they have to have the court to force the law on the people. Yes.
Well, they
But
did in Geneva as well, because that's common Christian practice. As you know, Jesus set up courts. Jesus would fine people if they didn't braid their hair correctly, if they wore the wrong clothing. Jesus would expel people from Jerusalem if they didn't dress correctly. And also, he would have them killed if they did things that he didn't agree with. That was Jesus's example, correct? And
maybe
Calvin.
Isa, son of Mary, but not Jesus, the son of God. No.
Oh, yes, you're right. Hold on. I just realized Jesus did not do that, but certainly John Calvin did. So basically, they legislated behavior, and they also then regulated that to align with what Calvin considered divine law. A consistory court is a theocratic ecclesiastical court. Now, they were also within the Church of England, and they were established because of a charter of King William the Conqueror, which I did not go into, but I just wanted to mention it. Other people took the idea and ran with it too. So in Geneva, Calvin establishes what's called the consistory. It's a disciplinary court, and it comprised of pastors and lay elders, as well as, of course, the secular leaders, to enforce reformed morality and to control public behavior. Are your kids playing in the street? They're not going to Bible school after school and learning the Bible, and they're not learning to recite the Bible, to recite something. Then you beat them, you punish them. You take away their toys. You call their parents in. You fine their parents. You demand that these kids don't play games. They don't smile. They don't, they need to be learning the Bible. What is this playing games? So basically, they would deal with issues from blasphemy to gambling, marital disputes, parenting, kids playing in the streets, which was haram. And they also.
Let me ask you a question, brother, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Are we talking about discipline by removal from the church and set aside, because that's biblical? Or are you talking about physical beating or
physical beating, physical punishments? No, I mean, look, the history here is very fuzzy. Now, at some point, I think I will figure it out. But I found sources where, and people like to try to say that Calvin was innocent of this, but Calvin set up this whole thing, and he set up the whole thing is set up by Calvin, managed by Calvin. While he might not have done it himself, up to 48 people were killed in Geneva for doing things that Calvin disagreed with. So it's not just Michael Servetus that died.
Let me ask a question. Do you think he was influenced by the Catholic Church at the time, since the Catholic Church was doing actually capital punishment for those who...
No, he was actually... No, so oddly enough, the next line here is the consistory scope of influence went much further than any of the Catholic institutions, including the Inquisition. He dealt with whether you're having arguments with your neighbor. They would bring you in. If you were singing songs that were not religious, going to the bar, and any other activities that the Catholic Church actually fully tolerated and did not interfere with, because Catholic canon law didn't address any of these issues. Calvin would go and dig into your personal life.
Will this cover all the people, or just the people who follow his Reformation? I mean, or
anyone who was in the city.
Even if you are a Catholic, you're not a Calvinist.
Anybody, even if you were just traveling through. So they enforced morality, they enforced public behavior, and you had to follow reformed morality and doctrines. And so blasphemy, gambling, breaking the Sabbath, those were all not just sins, but crimes that they would do.
He also kept the Sabbath, huh?
Yeah, I still need to dig into all of this stuff. I mean, I'm just starting with this. It's my first run through, so it's a lot of material. So they punished transgressions, but they also wanted to educate you and instilled reformed values. You had to go to church regularly, and you had to have a certain knowledge of basic doctrine, right? So they intervened in family matters, including parenting practices, just like specified in the Sharia, and the behavior of children and the youth, just like in the Sharia. And they emphasize the importance of respecting parental authority and upholding a certain moral standard. There's a name for that in Islam, where you have these rules of behavior, but you learn that as well. And they relied on the public to identify and report when someone wasn't behaving properly, just like in the Sharia. So
that's
tell
like
on your neighbor.
And the communists too.
Yeah. and you were expected to conform, or you could find that maybe the men in black ended up at your door and dragged you off to court, So they had a certain approach to gender roles, to domestic issues, and they basically upheld patriarchal structures and expectations. Men came first kind of thing. So they met every Thursday. They exercised church discipline, and they would deal with things like if you swore, unauthorized luxury. Did you say communism? Unauthorized luxury, disrespectfulness in church, any traces of Roman Catholicism, blasphemy, gambling, if your wife was dressing too well, her clothes were too bright, she wore too much jewelry, she looked too good, too much makeup. Yeah, that was a problem, and you could end up in court. So just a little bit of interest. I'm busy working on this still, but yeah, your thoughts on that before I go on to the next.
I cannot wait to read the actual writings of the Calvinists on these issues, because it's if I don't know you, I will assume, and listen carefully, if I don't know you, I will assume you're just making up all the stuff to interest people. It's like as a shrimp on the end of the hook to get people to come to our broadcast, and Lloyd was exaggerating, he was joking, he was lying, whatever. It's hard to swallow, brother. It's hard to swallow.
Yeah, there's a couple of odd things here. I mean, so there's a few odd things here, but there are parallels with the Sharia. I'll go into the Sharia, I'll look at the parallels where you can see that clearly this didn't come out of any other structure that came before it. This clearly only comes out of Islamic societal structures and law.
God help us.
Yeah, so I'll cover that next time. We'll do more of that next time, and I'll hopefully have that ready.
Can't wait.
Cool. Also want to bring up something that's maybe of interest. You mentioned Marxism, and it's very interesting. You mentioned communism. This is a book. There are a couple of books by Richard Wormbrandt. He was a German theologian, German priest. He wrote this very interesting book called Marx and Satan. And I've spoken about Marx at length on my channel. Marx, what few people realize is Marx was a Satanist. He admits, he sold his soul to Satan. Marx wrote satanic plays. Two of Marx's baby boys, died mysteriously. Now, of course, you could say he neglected them, or maybe he sacrificed them in a ritual. Both his daughters made murder pacts with their husbands that they would kill each other, and his one daughter and her husband, they killed each other, or they committed suicide, or whatever they did. And Marx was fine with that. And of course, the other couple, the other daughter and her husband, also made a pact to murder themselves, but the husband didn't go through with it. He faked it, and he lived.
Oh man!
So Marx writes here: I wish to avenge myself above the one. Sorry, I wish to avenge myself against the one who rules above, against God. Marxism is not neutral. It is anti-Christ, explicitly so, right? And I've spoken at length about other quotes that Marx has made where he writes that he is the agent of Satan. He is working for Satan. He's doing Satan's bidding.
That's why Democrats like him?
I think so. And he says the idea of God is the keynote of a perverted civilization. It must be destroyed. Karl Marx.
Oh my word.
So yeah, that should tell you a little bit about Karl Marx, and I think we need to think about.
Here's my question to you now, Lloyd. When we know things about Karl Marx in that level, why can't the Republican or the conservative open these materials and share it in the public for all people to understand that when we talk about Marxism or socialism or whatever the liberals are trying to bring to us here in America or in the West, we need to understand that it's the root of that is the devil himself.
I have no idea why.
It's not just a different opinion about politics between Republican and Democrat. It's God versus Satan.
Yes. No, this is a spiritual battle. It's the annihilation of Christianity. It's a religious war on Christianity disguised as politics or economics, but Marx was severely anti-Christian. So yeah, and you've got to read his other writings, not just Das Kapital. There's more to the man's personal life. The man was dirty. The man was filthy. He didn't wash. He had sores. And what is really odd about this is it's hard to, obviously, I don't want to fall into the conspiracy theory mold. I like to bring the original primary sources, but what I'm learning from reading Aleister Crowley, the most important Satanist and occultist of the 20th century, because I'll be doing a series on him in the next month or so. This attraction, this fascination with sickness, with disease, with open sores, with blood, with bleeding, with pus, with disgusting things of that nature, is actually part of occult magical practice. And what's interesting is you start to find these same aspects to varying degrees in Marx. You find it in Darwin. And again, I have spoken about this on my channel at length, going from credible historical sources, even in Martin Luther.
Yeah, you shared that with me before. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some disturbing things.
Which is disgusting. How can you have the Spirit of God live in you and you behave such as animals? It's worse than animals in some cases.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. So this is obviously the inversion of that. So there are some disturbing things in the histories that are not spoken about. Clearly, there's a certain narrative that must be protected, but there are some very disturbing things. But why would you protect Marx?
Nope.
You know, that's shocking.
Well,
okay, so,
yeah. I mean, I think the Lord is blessing us with you to have the heart and desire to do the research. And Hosea 4:6 is not a joke. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And lack of knowledge means what? Means hard work. It's not just to sit in front of a camera and talk for a few minutes. That these few minutes we teach require hours of study and digging. Otherwise, you be shallow or you're not telling the truth. And I don't want to be in either one.
The truth doesn't make one popular, right?
No, it make you famous of being stupid, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I get people who will rather just block me on social media than engage with my information. You know?
Because they cannot win the debate. If they can win the debate, they will argue and fight with you. And well, we'll pray.
That hasn't happened yet. I mean, generally speaking, there's no desire to sit down and actually go through these primary sources and look at this and go, wait, hold on, let's examine this logically. But
Christy Johnson, hello, Christy Johnson, my great producer. She's down there. I can't believe it.
Christy Johnson, well, hello. Okay, well, today we're here again. We're again talking about the Quran, which is the most famous book.
Before we get started, the Lord gave me a thought to share quickly here. We all know Yasser Qadi, who made the statement there are holes in the narratives. Okay, that is his own word a year ago or so, when we discovered more info about how the Quran is not what Muslims claim. I can add another sentence above. There's holes in the narratives. There's holes in the verses. Literally, every verse in the Quran have a hole. Not every surah or every chapter of the Quran have a hole or two. Every verse have a hole. It is the most holy book of concerning to the amount or the number of holes all over the book. The book is very holy, man.
I agree. Well, you know what? I'm also opening up a new chapter on Islam. This is about Aleister Crowley, the most famous Satanist of the 20th century. While we're at this, Usama, I mean, maybe when I talk about some of these, I can invite you on and we can have a joint discussion. It's always good to have.
Absolutely. It would be my
For instance, okay, I've already talked about this, but basically, look at these guys. Okay, they both claimed to have been contacted by an angel who selected them as the prophet of a new religion. The angel dictated a new book focused on religious laws, right? And the other guy was Muhammad, right? Sure. Now Crowley identified Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, as a saint of his church. He didn't identify Jesus as a saint of his church, just so by the way. Right? He was also a magus of the occult institution that he created. And Crowley directly compared his own relationship to the above human intelligence, Awas, with Muhammad's relationship to the angel gibberish. And he says here, he got a sheikh to teach him Arabic and the practices of ablution, prayer, and that he wanted to pass as a Muslim. And he says, I learned a number of chapters of the Quran by heart. When he was learning Arabic, he would recite the Surah Ikhlas 1,001 times a day as a purification. And he says he also learned the Arabic Kabbalah. Everyone goes on about the Jewish Kabbalah. For some reason, they don't want to talk about the Arabic Kabbalah. The Arabs, the Muslims, have their own Kabbalah, right? He goes on to say that he was obviously raised as a Sufi. Then he also has I'm still working on the notes. The idea of annihilation of the self, that's a Sufi concept.
Sure.
Crowley also says that when Muhammad says La ilaha illallah, right, there is no God, but what they say, he claims that what Muhammad is saying, there is no God, you are God. You are Allah.
That is exaggerating a little bit.
Oh, but that's what Crowley says. That's what Crowley says, right?
Well, that's only maybe difference between him and Muhammad. And you know what's amazing, Lloyd, as you read all the stuff about that man here, I guarantee you, if Muslims have access to that book, they will pick and choose some of the sentences he put there, not realizing who this man is, and they will use them as a way to praise their Allah and to praise their Muhammad. And I've seen that before many times.
Well, he says here, Crowley writes, the most important of all the efforts of the white school. Now, that's an important name we'll get into later because he speaks of the white brethren, which is like a group of gurus that have been in existence for thousands of years who oversee humanity and blah, blah. It's supposed to be good guys. It's all Satanist, okay? But he says the most important of all of the efforts of the white school is Islam.
Tells this to the black nation of Islam in America. Here we go. 4 or 5 million were washed out with one sentence.
And Muhammad is a Gnostic saint, and then he goes on. Hang on, but you've got to read how deep Crowley was into Islam. I mean, I'm still busy working on it. As you can see, I'm still working on these notes. But this man was so deep into Islam. And let me give you something interesting. Crowley writes, his most famous saying is, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will." Let me actually just make it full screen for a second, right? So he writes, so he was raised in the Plymouth Brethren, right? So he says here, do what thou wilt, do whatever you want. That's the whole of the law. And love is the law, love under will, or love under the control of will. Love is the law, but love under the control of the will, which is a contradiction already. How can love be the law if love is secondary, if love is subjugated? But so he speaks about love. Love is very important. We need to love. We have to love. You've got to love yourself, love the other, blah, blah, blah. And this is his most famous and most frequently quoted phrase, okay? So love is the guiding principle. Love is a guiding principle. Let's read about how he means this. So this is how this is explained. On the surface, there's little distinction between the new law of Crowley and the canon of anarchy. And you ask, how is the law to be fulfilled in the case of two boys who want to eat the same orange? How is the law to be fulfilled in the case of two people who want the same thing? But since only one boy at most can eat the orange, it is evident that one of them is mistaken in supposing that it is essential to his will to eat this orange. So the question is to be decided in the good old way by fighting for it. And the fighting should be done chivalrously. And you must respect the one that you beat. Okay, and he says there are many persons who are naturally slaves, who have no stomach to fight, who yield to anyone strong enough to take it. These persons are too weak to accept the law. This is understood and provided for in the book of the law, which says, the slaves shall serve. Your thoughts on that?
Is this the law of the jungle? The big fish eats the small fish?
Yes.
You talk about love and you talk about control and actually, you know what? I think I see the resemblance between him and Muhammad. It is they both worship the same God. His name is the devil or Satan.
I will talk about this at length. This is insane. It is insane. He was so deep into Islam. It's not even funny. The guy he had his own Kaaba. He copied Islam. He studied Islam. He recited the Quran.
When this guy lived?
1872. He died like in the 1900s, 1940s.
Man, I missed him because I was born in the 1900s. I was hoping I can meet with him, but I missed him.
Yeah, but you got to read this. I mean, and you'll start to see that this is like he praises Muhammad. He hates Christianity.
Well, that's it. If he's saying Muhammad is a saint and he praises Muhammad, I know for sure he worships the same God, the God of Muhammad. No kidding.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff. And you realize he builds it all, his own system. He believes that Muhammad was his predecessor, that he is taking up the prophethood from Muhammad.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
It's insane.
Can
Muhammad
I
is
see
the
the
seventh
shahada
saint.
right now? Can I see the shahada right now, or should I wait?
Yeah, he had his own Kaaba. Exactly, he did. Yes, he had his own Kaaba. Exactly, that is true. So look, I mean, this is a lot of work. I'm trying to juggle a lot of these presentations. I'm trying to do a lot of this stuff. I mean, but look, if I told you this just offhand without having the evidence, because I can prove every word I say from the sources, would you think I was insane, Usama? I mean, I'm saying things, but
I so far I believe you are until I see the evidence.
okay. It sounds like Darwinism. Yes.
The only way you can clear yourself from being not crazy is to show me the evidence.
Yeah, I mean, and the guy was a drug addict. He was a major drug
Oh
addict.
my world, drugs.
And he goes on like, there's like the whole story of good grief. You got to go into this. And also, here's another thing I've spoken about on the channel about, Muhammad recommended drinking urine. Okay, he said anyone who drinks his urine is saved from illness and saved from hellfire. So Islam has obviously absorbed this idea of drinking urine, that Muhammad's urine is somehow holy, when urine is actually one of the sources that sends people to hell in Islam. It's one of the things, urine, blood, and feces will send you to hell. But Muhammad's urine is great. However,
it's a holy urine, man. And it was discovered by accident when his wife drank the leftover urine from the night before, and she was.
How can you not smell that?
Listen, don't argue with me. I'm telling you the truth. That is what she said. She said, honey, what happened to the urine? She said, what urine? It was in the bottle next to my bed. She said, oh, I drank it. And she said, oh, but I am so strong right now. I can run like a camel. I can walk so hard. I mean, I was so sick until I drank it, and I feel much better. And that's when Muhammad discovered that there is a magic in his urine. You drink it, you're strong, you're healed.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, when you take this idea a step further, I remember Muhammad also swam in stagnant water that had pollution and filth in it. Right, dead dogs.
But he is very clear. No water can ever be dirty or unclean. Water is always pure. Even when they found a dead donkey in it, or a horse, I can't remember, it's a horse or a donkey,
gross.
And he drank from it, and all drank from it, and they carry the water somewhere else.
The problem is now, as I'm reading Crowley, you realize that the attraction to filth and the consumption of filth is part of their rituals. When you decide to elevate yourself to a higher level, you start to consume filth. You try to become filthy. Now, again, you see this in Marx. You actually see it in, oddly enough, Martin Luther. You see it in Crowley, and they become fascinated with this. Now, extending this idea, Crowley even goes so far as to start eating feces. Okay?
Brother, I have not had lunch. You make me sick.
I know, it's sad. I'm sorry, but even two PhD professors of theology who wrote a glowing biography of Martin Luther tell us how Martin Luther used to drink and eat pig shit.
Okay, let me put it this way. I studied years ago that some of the monks were Martin Luther. We know he was a monk. They will bring a chicken and they will put it there already cooked, and they will not eat it, and they keep looking at it for 3-4 days and start getting real smelly bad and start all the worm growing it, and it start eating, and they look at it so they can punish their body. It's type of fasting by looking at a good chicken until the chicken is gone and become
overcoming temptation. Disgusting. Yeah, but I mean, but
my question is, do you think Martin Luther was influenced by this lifestyle in the monks?
Okay, so there's a few incidents recorded about him. There's one where they are talking about, where the priest was talking about the incident where a demon is inside a man and Jesus takes this demon out. And he accuses this man of harboring a demon. And I mean, the history records that Martin Luther, and this happened, he fainted several times at critical times during certain sermons or prayers. He would faint and have convulsions, right, in the church. But on this occasion, he falls down. And this is where Jesus accuses a man of harboring a demon, of being possessed. And Martin Luther falls down and he apparently starts foaming at the mouth, and he starts writhing and convulsing, and he starts screaming, "It's not me, it's not me, I'm not the one, I'm not him, it's not me, it's not me." This is recorded about Martin Luther.
Brother, I thought the Quran was bad. I thought my book is terrible. Now you make the Joseph story in the Quran is a beautiful story now. I feel in love with
Dude,
it.
but you must understand, as you start to see these hints, you start to think, but is this an isolated thing or is this linked to these, you know? Anyway, but let's just say there's some real and
The devil, the devil, the devil. How about that?
so Muhammad also fainted. Actually, Catherine M says Muhammad also fainted.
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
He faint and he foamed from the mouth, and you can hear the sound of the bees, honeybees, zzz, in his face. He used to sweat so heavy, and he used to get so heavy, and all this good stuff while receiving the revelation from Angel Gibberish.
So now the thing is, we can find this in other people, and you can find there's something very wrong here. But those are discussions we'll have hopefully next month. We can dig into some of this if you're willing, Osama, to go through some of this. I'll bring the sources. I'll bring the primary sources. You can research.
But listen, if you don't have the sources for this information, I cannot sit next to you on that camera here, because then you make me look real bad. If you have the sources, I'm for it 100%.
Okay.
But if you are making it up, man, I can sue you.
No, we'll do Calvin. I mean, look, you've got a whole audience that can fact check. They can look these things up. You know.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to sue you. Relax. Yeah. I'm not going to sue you.
No, I mean, look, on this channel, I cover some really difficult topics. I dig into areas where people, for some reason,
I don't think I heard any, brother. I've been in this on a ministry like that for almost 30 years, since I came to America on Pal Talk more than 30 years ago. And I never heard any of this information. I mean, that's a brand new stuff for me. I want to learn from it. I personally would like to sit next to you just to sit and listen and learn. And if I have some argument, I will present it. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So we'll do this in a couple of weeks. As I said, next week, I am definitely not. I have family for an entire week, so it's very difficult, and I'll be traveling. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the second trip of Joseph's brothers to Egypt. Back to the Quran.
More holes in the Quran. MashaAllah.
Okay. So Quran 12:69 says, and when they entered unto Joseph, he took his brother to him. He said, surely I am your brother, so do not grieve for what they are doing.
I'm telling you, Muhammad ruined my favorite story. I remember when I read the Genesis account with my dad, maybe I was 9, 10 years old. I can't remember. Maybe I wrote it down here. And I came to the part where Joseph's heart was so much heavy and he want to cry, and he ran out and he cried up because he saw his brother. Muhammad literally stupidly, he destroys the story. Hey, come here, Benjamin. I'm your brother, man. Don't be upset about what he did. Take it easy, buddy. We're brothers here, you know.
The surprise reveal is ruined. The surprise is ruined.
Stupid. Go ahead, read, man.
It's kind of like, huh? It's like, so in the interpretation, Tabri and Al-Qurtubi said that Joseph brought his brothers into his house and put every 2 of the brothers in one bed. What? Okay, this took place.
House have 6. Listen, his house have 6 bedrooms. Each bedroom have 1 bed. So he hosts his brothers in his house without letting them know that he's their brother. So now every 2 sleep in 1 bed. It's a bed. That's a nice size bed. You can put 2 people in it. Okay. So 2, 2, 2, 2. Guess what? His brother Benjamin by himself, because they're 11. You follow me so far? Go ahead.
So one of them had to sleep with him, right? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no.
No, not that way. It's like we brothers in the Middle East can sleep together in 1 bed. That's no problem.
Middle East. I thought you're African, because we Africans, we don't do that. Homie don't play that. I'm sorry, man, but homie don't play that.
Hey, man, if you grow up a house with 10 kids, you have to share a bed with one of your brothers. So the big deal.
Okay, fine. Moving on. So there were 11 brothers. 10 of them took 5 beds. This left Benjamin without a bed, and he was alone. Then Joseph said, this Benjamin, sleep with me on my bed. That's what the guy in prison says when the new guy comes in, the freshman.
You see how filthy your mind is? You're going through that sexual part. We're talking about brothers, man. But, Muhammad destroyed the biblical account because Joseph never had his brother to sleep with him in his beds. Never.
Why are they talking? Why is this important? How is this detail?
Well, because how the scholars of Islam are trying to tell us how this, surely I am your brother. How this happened? You don't just meet a guy in the street, say, I'm your brother, come on in. No, you have to make a fabrication to bring a logical interpretation to the stupidity of the word of Allah in the Quran. The Quran is dumb. So we have to make more sense out of it by creating another story which is more dumb. So now you add dumb to dumb, you get twice as dumb, and now you become real dumber, a good Muslim believer. You see?
I am losing IQ points just reading this book.
Okay. Hey,
During the night,
don't get me upset.
Joseph began to smell Benjamin
all night
and hold him tight to himself.
Now you think about the guys in the prison. You hold them tight. No,
he continued to do this until more. Look, I'm sorry. I come from the primitive third world, the darkest of Africa. Next stop, South Pole. I mean, some guy does this to me. Let's just say he ain't going to be doing that for very long. You know what I'm saying?
All night long.
Yeah, this all night long.
Hey, listen, you like to smell. There's something about Muhammad and the smell. A little bit later, you're going to hear about the shirt, the magic shirt, and Jacob's smell. And there's something amazing about smell in Islam. MashaAllah. Go ahead.
Catherine's phone just went into SOS mode and shut down. That's because the CIA or MI6 is listening in, and they were so shocked the whole system just went into overload. Either that or Allah works in mysterious ways.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yeah. I concur.
Okay, great. So this is when he told Benjamin that he was his brother.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say that's when he told Benjamin he has the hots for him.
No. I'm your brother. Remember?
And for him not to tell the other brothers, Reuben said, we have never seen anything like that before. Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it, because you guys were straight.
I mean, but I'll go back to my routine question, which I repeat in that book 10,000 times. How did Al-Tabari know this information? I mean, what is the source of knowledge? Was Allah revealed to him like Allah revealed to Muhammad, and add this extra information which helped the Muslim to understand when or how or where did Joseph told his brothers that I'm your brother?
It was in the Injil, but the Injil is lost now.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the Injil, and sadly,
Muslims don't ask this, brother. If Muslim can simply ask a question, where did Ibn Kathir, or where did Al-Tabari, where did Al-Qurtubi, or somebody come up with this knowledge, that will end Islam. Not just the teaching of the Quran, that will end Islam itself from its foundation. Go ahead.
So, I mean, as Usama says here, when he was a kid, he read the account of Joseph, and it was tearful, it was emotional, it was impactful. This is kind of lame and gay. I'm sorry, but it's like, hey guys, I'm your brother. You want to cuddle?
No. His brother. Don't tell them, by the way. Just keep it secret between you and I.
Keep this secret between you and, us cuddling last night. Just keep that between that. I'm sorry, dude. That's what sex predators do. Excuse me.
But he did not kiss him or go anywhere. Come on, man. You're taking it to the extreme right, man. Keep it.
He felt him up a little bit. He smelled the goods.
Because he's his brother, You have not seen him for, I don't know, a few years or something.
I'm sorry, man, but no. No.
Still, the answer is still no, huh?
I'm sorry. Look, personally, I'm reading this and I'm hearing they are trying to pass off this gay stuff as somehow legit by whitewashing it and making it appear like something else. That's what I'm reading.
Wait until you get to the third trip. It will be more ridiculous. But go ahead.
So, good grief. I mean, audience, what do you think? Does that sound like they're trying to cover up some shenanigans there, or is it like all innocent? Because, man, I'm thinking that's a long...
all innocent. It's all innocent. Listen, Allah's word is the truth. It's all innocent.
So, yeah, should Usama laugh because it is so ridiculous, or should he cry? Because the Quran destroys the biblical account.
Yeah, I did both. I laughed and I cried.
What did Allah mean when he says in the Quran, when they entered unto Joseph? Was Joseph sitting in the living room, or maybe in his dining room? Was he playing Xbox? What does Muhammad mean? How can the Muslims understand Ibn Kathir's statement about when the brothers met with Joseph and he talked with Benjamin in secret and told Benjamin that he was his brother? All those details are missing, I guess. Joseph then commanded Benjamin not to tell his brothers about this. Where did Ibn Kathir come up with this information?
Here's my question. Here it is.
It's not in the Quran. Then Ibn Kathir said that Joseph deceived them and did this by hiding the cup. Hiding the wheat?
What is the purpose for the cup now? If the cup is stupid thing. In the Bible, brother, and I hope I wrote it down. In the Bible, the whole purpose of hiding his cup in his brother Benjamin is to bring them to repentance. And then he is planning to tell them who he is to the whole family. Not that stupid system in the Quran.
Yeah. So yeah, this Islam and abuse. Oh my golly. Yeah, they're just this is the okay. So the cup disappeared. The cup comes out of nowhere. So Ibn Kathir said this was the cup Joseph used to drink from, and used to measure people's food because
listen for a minute here. The man in charge of the country, he only have one cup. He himself, when people come from all over Egypt and from all over the world, he used that cup to put the corn into the bag. I give you 28, 29. Here's your 30. Goodbye. Next. You lady in the back, come here, lady in the front here. I give you 2 more cups. Say 31, 32. Hey, I'm getting tired. I need some drink. He put some water from here to here. And then you drink. Next, you young men, come here. And you know how stupid it is to think he using the same cup to measure all. Was he a salesman or he's a man in charge of Egypt?
Maybe it was a really big cup.
Does he wash the cup between the people? He measured the corn and the wheat, or use the cup dirty?
It was probably a big gulp cup, and it kind of was. They could go quicker with the corn because of the size. I don't know.
If they tell me that the scholars of Islam are dummers, I will accept the story. But the problem, we're talking about a scholar. How can a scholar tell me that garbage nonsense to make sense out of a Quran which is holy, very holy, with many holes? You can't understand a verse by adding that garbage, and you still believe he's a scholar? God help. If Muslims believe Ibn Kathir is a scholar, after we just read today, forget about the previous 50 broadcasts I have with you just today, then they are really stupid. They're duped so badly, and they deserve to spend eternity in hell for this stupidity alone. Forget about forgetting Jesus.
Right.
This is stupid.
So then Joseph tells them, you have stolen the king's cup. And he promises them that if they would return it, he would give them a camel's load as a reward. A load of what?
Corn, wheat, the food. That's why they went there. So it's imagine with me. You commit a crime, you steal the cup of the king, and if you return it, we'll give you a whole camel load of corn. Are you kidding me? No, we kill you. That's what we do in Egypt. You steal the cup of the king, you're dead. You don't reward people for committing theft by giving them extra corn. Come on, man.
Right. So, yeah, and they, of course, the brothers say, look, you're accusing us of something we did not do. Sure. Ibn Kathir tells us, according to the culture of the day, the person who stole would be made a slave as a punishment for the theft.
So why he's going to reward them, give him corn instead of make him a slave? Instead of you punish him, you reward them?
Because it's his brothers, they get special treatment.
Yeah.
He then says that Allah said that the Egyptians began searching the brothers' bags. Benjamin's bags was the last to be searched, and so that their deception would be discovered. Ibn Kathir continued by saying, because of their confession, whoever had the cup in his bag would be the punished person who would become a slave. Dun, dun, dun. Joseph would then be able to take his brother from them according to Egyptian law and political practice.
Are you kidding me? Do you need a law, Egyptian law, to take your brother? You see the stupidity of so-called scholars? You mean if his brother did not steal the cup, he will not be able to take him for himself? What a dumb idea. What is the purpose of the cup except to read the Genesis account, to see the anguish of their heart, to see that they remember their sin against their brother Joseph, and they confess it out loud in the Hebrew tongue, not realizing that Joseph can understand every word they're saying. It make me cry when I read that when I was 19 years old. It make me laugh when I read it when I'm 15, 20 years old. at the stupidity of Allah in the Quran. Go ahead, man.
So Ibn Kathir goes on. When he had provided them with their supplies, he placed his drinking vessel in his brother's pack. Then a caller called. A hello?
Caller.
Are you calling? Like, what? Then a caller called, "Oh, travelers."
Somebody spoke on somebody. Hey, you guys, come back here. You stole the cup of the king. Okay, go ahead.
"Oh, travelers, surely you are thieves," they said. And they turned back to them. "What did you miss?" They said, "We missed the king's suwa." Let's have a look. Drinking cup, non-Arabic word of Ethiopian origin. Same word as from the story of Joseph in the Ethiopian Bible. Interesting.
So the person who helped Muhammad to write the story about Joseph most likely have access to the Ethiopian language and the Genesis account in the Ethiopian language. Most
Well,
likely.
he used to listen to the two Ethiopian in the market, right? Every morning he was reciting the Bible. The first hijrah was supposedly they spent 15 years in Ethiopia, and his midwife was Ethiopian. She lived with him until her death. And the guy who made the first lectern that he had was the first podium was supposedly Ethiopian. The guy who repaired the Kaaba was supposedly Ethiopian. And the only other language in the Islamic sources that Muhammad spoke was Ethiopian.
I believe there was some connection between the Ethiopian and the early Muslim for a fact. This is historian. This is written.
Yeah, and they protected the caravans. There were soldiers that protected the caravans.
The first migration of the Muslim out of Mecca, it was to Ethiopia. So there must be some ties with some of the Christian people who live in Ethiopia at the time.
Yeah. Mike says, "I don't understand how Muslims are against gays since Allah promised they could practice this in heaven." I mean, if you go through, I've shown before on the channel, if you go through art from the 16th, 17th, 18th century, like if you take the Ottoman art, for instance, they make paintings of gay sex, of gay group sex. I mean, the Ottomans were like celebrating it.
The best interpretation I've heard from some Muslim scholar in Egypt is that, remember when you were a little boy and you go to grandma's house and you know how beautiful her hot chocolate cookies are, and you go to the kitchen and you look at the glass container and you see the cookie inside them, and your mouth will be watering down, and you reach out by your hand to the cookie jar to get a cookie out of it, and grandma said, "Not now, Johnny, not now." But yeah, she literally slapped your hand softly and she covers the lid. And then she's after dinner, and after you eat dinner, grandma will open the container, the glass jar, and she'll get 3 or 4 cookies, chocolate cookie, and she gives them to you. And she said, "Eat, honey. Since you've been a good boy and you eat dinner, now you can have all the chocolate you want." That's exactly how Allah will reward the Muslim in the hereafter. Because here in this world, you cannot drink alcohol. Well, in paradise, there's a river of wine, delicious for those who drink it. So you are limited to 4 wives, unlimited, 72 forever virgin. And little boys, yeah, why not? It's a time of rewarding, no longer a time. By the way, there's a video was going out. It was sent to me by Adam Seeker, and I could not believe it. Whereas a mufti gave a fatwa decree just recently. I don't know if you saw this or not, Lloyd, where a man asked the mufti, he said, "I have to make my rectum big because now I have to use a bomb to put in my rectum so I can commit suicide for Allah. Would you give me permission? Will I be receive okay from you or from Allah to be able to have sexual relationship like gays so I can make my rectum big so I can stop
like he couldn't just get some
and the mufti listened, and the mufti said, "Yes, you can. All what you need to do is just keep asking Allah for more forgiveness while you're doing it." So now they are a fatwa. It's okay for men to be gay if he's going to use his body in the future to stop a bomb so that he can blow himself from inside out.
That's just oh my God, this is horrific. I mean, they could just do what I guess gays do. They use little things they buy on.
No. He want the real thing.
Why?
Because Allah is forgiven. Remember, Allah is forgiven. Allah is merciful. MashaAllah.
Should I show some of that art, this gay art? That
If we have children, he should not show anything.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
we don't have children, it's
yes
kind
or
of
no? Should I tell everyone to cover their eyes, or should I show it?
the problem is children will be watching that even later. It's hard. It's hard. It is. I saw it before. You actually put in one show before.
Mike
It
says
was-
no, so okay, fine. So I guess I'll skip it this time. But you guys know there's plenty of this artwork. This was
It's-
celebrated. This was not. The Muslims were going wild with this stuff. It's
But
just,
these guys were radical in Turkish. That's not how real Islam is.
I don't know. They were in charge of Islam. They were the Muslims.
They controlled the whole Muslim world. I mean, they were the last powers the Muslim had before World War II, and that was the end of it.
exactly. It's like, so they weren't real Muslims. So Islam was false Islam for hundreds of years across all of Islamic world.
Kinda.
I mean,
So
like
this-
seriously, it's like, yeah, right. That was supposed
This
to
is
be
in Muhammad days. Listen. If Muhammad can do that with a little girl, Aisha, there's nothing can go wrong with Islam. Trust me. When the Prophet of Islam, the saint of Islam, the holy man, the perfect man, the one because of whom we have Adam and Eve and the creation can have sexual relationship with a little girl, you kiss the morality of Islam goodbye. You have to be stupid to believe that there's anything is right about that cult.
No. So he said, "Unto him who will restore it to camel's load, and I guarantee it if you bring the cup back."
Yeah.
And they said, "We swear by Allah, indeed, we did not come to vandalize in the land." And we were not.
Listen to this. They swear by Allah. A Hebrew people swear by Allah. Like throughout the Quran, even the idol worshippers swear by Allah. I mean, everybody swear by Allah. Does anybody catch these errors? How can a Hebrew swear by Allah?
Because it's the same. Everyone worships the same God, I guess. I don't know.
MashaAllah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you see this article about this one white dude that converted to Islam. It's made a big scene on social media, saying that the Christians genocided the Muslims in Spain. Did you know that 80% of Spain was Muslim and the Christians genocided them?
Yeah, and Muhammad was born in Spain, and the Islam started in Spain, and then they moved to, they immigrated to Mecca. Let's take it backwards. I don't know. How can you tell me how in the world that Muslim got to Spain to start with? They translated the Quran. Listen, brother, they translated the Quran to the Spanish language. And they read the Quran, and the people of Spain fall on their knee and they cry from their eyes. And
so they traveled from Arabia across Africa north into Spain with an army
bloodshed,
to tell the Christians in Spain that they have their religion and you have your religion.
Yeah, must be.
That's what they did. They basically came saying, you have your religion, we have our religion, and we've got our army here, and we're invading your country because we have our religion and you have yours.
And it was years and years of war, and then the Spanish people wake up and destroy them out of their country after hundreds of years. But then guess what? They went back to Spain right now, and they're right now literally raping the Spanish women and the Spanish girls, and they're taking over Spain by romantic.
Yeah, now it's supposed to be that they were genocided. Like, they invaded. Come on. I had one guy tell me, no, they didn't invade Europe. They contributed. They brought art and culture and mathematics.
Sure.
And you're
look
like,
at the buildings, the buildings and the artwork.
Like apparently, like the algebra and everything that Muslims, you know what? They take these Christians and Persians and Hindus, they give them Arab names, and they claim these were Muslims that did it.
Yeah.
But often it's Christians or Persians.
Everything Muslim claim to get. The only thing the Muslim have invented, which is I give them credit for, is the zero. The zero. When the rocket launch up to the space, they count 10, 9, 8, 7. When you get to 3 and 2 and 1, listen what come after 1. That is what we invented. 0 and then launch up. That is the perfect thing we have done. Besides the 0, we invented nothing. Okay.
I mean, they didn't even invent Arabic numerals. Those are Indian numerals, by the way.
Sure.
So
everything come in Islam is taken from somebody else, from faraway land, after killing the man's husband, the man's daddy, and raped his mama and his daughter and his sister. And now that guy became a Muslim, and now we got the credit for it. MashaAllah.
Right. So his death, his penalty for the one in whose pack you find it. So he is the penalty. So what is the penalty? And Likewise, we reward the unjust. I'm like, what retard?
So what they're saying here is this: no. We don't want a camel load of corn or wheat. Whoever you find the cup with, he is the penalty. You will take him as slave. That's what Allah is trying to say.
So he began with their bags before his brother's bag. I mean, who wrote this retarded language? It's like they're trying to do Shakespeare, but they're just ruining it.
That's Allah and Jibreel together, work together.
And then he drew it out from his brother's bag. Likewise, we schemed for Joseph that he was not to take his brother into the judgment of the king, except if Allah wills.
Notice the contradiction. A little bit earlier, Ibn Kathir told us that the Egyptian searched in their bags. Now we see actually it's not the Egyptian. It is Joseph himself. He is Joseph here.
Yeah, wow. These people are just, people are going to get tired and it's going to change at some point. So we raise degrees of whom we will and above everyone with knowledge, whatever. In verse 77, Muhammad fabricated a line and the Muslim scholars fabricated an interpretation. They said, if he has stolen, so indeed his brother has stolen before. So Joseph kept it secret in his soul and did not disclose it to them. He said, you are in an evil position, and Allah knows what you describe. I've no idea what's going on here.
The Egyptian king, the Egyptian pharaoh, the man in charge of Egypt, whose name is Joseph, is also used the word Allah. In the Bible, he said, I swear by the life of Pharaoh. He swear by the God of Egypt. Pharaoh, not Allah. Who is Allah to that Joseph? The whole thing is stupid. Keep going.
Yeah. So let me see. Let's go on. So concerning the brother who stole it in the past, Ibn Kathir said that they meant Joseph. What? Ibn Kathir also said that Joseph...
They were talking to each, the brother Joseph was talking to the Egyptian people, and they did not know that Joseph was there. They did not know. So they said that Joseph has stolen before. So it is not new. Yes, he's thief, and his older brother also was a thief. Okay? And let's see, what did he steal?
Ibn Kathir said that Joseph had stolen an idol from his grandfather, the father of his mother, and he had broken it. What? This is Abraham. I mean, this is like the corruption of the story.
It doesn't matter. Just keep going with the story, man. It's the beauty of the
Okay, Ibn Kathir, Prophet Ibn Kathir knew this secretly. It has been said that Joseph's aunt had put something like a sash belonging to Isaac on him between his clothes, 2 shirts, when he was a... Where are they getting this story?
It's Leah. Actually, it's Rachel when she stole the gods from her father Laban as she was going back with Jacob to the promised land, the land of Canaan, and she pretended to have the period, and her daddy want to search for the God, and she said, I cannot stand up, daddy, because I have the period, and then he let go. But she actually is the one who stole. But see, Muhammad does not know what he's talking about. He mixed up everything. I mean, this is the reality of the Quran.
Academics have neglected their duty to tell the truth. Honestly, academics should have ripped this apart decades ago.
I don't know if anybody else write about this or actually bother to read what Ibn Kathir and put it in English as I did. I have not read this anywhere else. Have you?
No.
Okay. Why not every apologetic, everybody who does our ministry takes these chapters and read it to the American people, read it to the Muslim people in Europe, read it to the Muslim. I mean, the Muslim people, there are more Muslims speak English today than those who speak Arabic. You want to destroy Islam? Use the story of Joseph. Why? Because there's no doctrine in it. We're not talking about Trinity. We're not talking about the cross. We're not talking about this resurrection. No. We're talking about a story which is beautifully written in Genesis and garbagely destroyed in the Quran. And when you read the scholars' interpretation to it, it adds more water to the muddy Islam.
Wow. I'm actually just going to look for something, story of Joseph. Oh, bugger. Pop-ups, don't you hate that? I'm just curious I'd be interested. Okay, so here, there's plenty of stuff on the Biblical Archaeological website, because this is on Biblical Archaeology Society. Does archaeology confirm Joseph's time in Egypt from 2021? Another one from 1998, 2007. So this would be interesting for me to go through and look at what is the known archaeological proof or evidence, what lends evidence to the claims made in the Bible about Joseph.
Biblical account to be accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, in almost every portion of the Bible now, we have some archaeological evidence. And if not, it's coming up in next week. It's coming up next month.
No, I agree. I mean, it's much further along than people realize, because a lot of claims made in the 19th and 20th centuries, like Bauer and others, were making claims that are now proven false, but they've never recanted or retracted those claims. Those claims have still been made. Yeah.
And the beauty, Lloyd, as I studied up to 2-3 weeks ago, I was in conference speaking about that, actually studying about that. All the archaeological evidence so far, 100% supports the Bible. Not one goes against the Bible. Not one goes against the Bible. None of it goes for Islam or for Allah or for the Quran.
Yeah. I mean, what archaeology has the Quran contributed to? And the answer is nothing. Nothing.
Well, if you believe what you're reading right now, it contributes to stupidity.
I can feel my brain turning to mush as I read this. Yeah, why does Islam get protected and imported? I mean, yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. But clearly there's...
I tell you why. Because you can always mock the Bible and Christian will pray for you and will continue to love you. You can speak against Islam and Muslim will kill you and kill those who listen to you. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's a. So it has been said that Joseph's aunt had put something like a sash belonging to Isaac on in between his clothes, the two shirts, when he was a child. He removed it and did not feel it. His aunt did that because she desired for him to have it because of her love for him. Where they get it? It also said
it is not his aunt, it is his own mother, Rachel, who stole the idols from her father, Laban, when Joseph was a little boy going back to the land of Canaan, as the Genesis account described exactly.
And he used to take food from the house and feed it to the poor. He also walked little old ladies across the street. He would give milk to stray cats. He would heal the wings of little birds that had broken wings.
You got the idea.
You know,
how did all this? Because they said his brother was stolen. So now we found his brother is stolen idol and they crush it. His brother stolen other gods. His brother stolen food to feed the poor people. His brother said, what other thing is his brothers can bring as an evidence that Joseph has stolen? Stolen what? So Muhammad added a verse to the story, and scholars went in depth with 10 different opinions. And by the way, I didn't write every one of them. I wrote just some because I felt it's so stupid for me to keep going. We go for another 10 pages and just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, and then you're in an evil position, and Allah knows what you describe. Ibn Kathir said Joseph said this in his thoughts. This was not spoken aloud. How did he know? He got it on DVD.
Look at this. With all the garbage he said out loud, in that sentence, they make a big deal. Oh, he just said it in his mind. Really?
Right.
Are you trying to tell me any of what you said earlier make any sense? Is that you worry about that one simple sentence? MashaAllah.
You know, I give up. In the following summary of Genesis 43, the Bible tells us that when Joseph saw Benjamin with them when they returned to Egypt the second time, he told the ruler of his house to bring the men to his house and prepare a meal. So that is possibly what Muhammad referred to in verse 69 by they entered unto Joseph. Because I'd hate to think what else was meant by they entered unto Joseph.
They did not have sex with Joseph, don't worry.
Yeah, man.
And you have a point, Lloyd, you have a point, because in the Quran, Muhammad used enter into for the purpose of having sex with.
Yeah.
Like in Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, they enter into.
It's like, why would they choose that phrasing? It's disturbing.
It is used in Lot's story for meaning intercourse.
That's exactly. So I'm sure that Allah could have picked a different phrase, right?
No, but Allah have short, limited number of words. His vocabulary is too limited. So he used the same phrase for everything.
So Joseph's brothers were full of fear, and they thought it was because of the silver which had been returned to their sacks from the first trip.
Wait a minute. The Quran never said that. That's the Bible. Why can't the Muslim read the Bible and come up with a perfect understanding to the Quran? No, 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 no. They ignore everything written in the Bible and they went with everything in the Quran, which makes no sense. It's not silver in the Quran. Remember, it's merchandise. They brought some weak merchandise, as you're going to see in the next trip. God help us. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ave Maria Theotokos says, I saw one of Usama's old videos where he had calling, pure beast. Yeah, but you don't do that anymore, right? That's not your thing. That's not really mine either. But...
I'm sorry, I don't understand what is that. What she means?
No, but people would call into the show and you would deal with that. So.
Oh yeah, I do it anytime. If Muslim will come to your show, please bring him in. I would love to. Have a conversation with
we get Adam Seeker on as well. I mean, man, between you two guys, you would rip people to shreds. But
the problem is they stopped coming. I used to, even when I used to do live on Crosstalk, which is nationwide, we used to have Muslims all the time. But the last 7-8 years, not even one call. I'm begging them.
We know the Quran better than they do by now. We know the Hadiths better than they do. We know the Sirah. I mean,
so
how many
not going
Muslims
to
know
challenge us anymore?
Sorry?
So is that it?
I mean, how many people call into my show and say, "Oh, I challenge you," right? That's like never happened.
Yeah, I mean, think
we know their sources better than they do at this point. I mean, I'm certain of that. I mean, yourself, myself, Adam, many others. We know their sources. We study their sources. We've read them. We've cross-referenced them. We've analyzed them.
I realize, listen, I realize most people would like to debate me do not know jack about Islam. They think they know it, when in reality, they don't. And especially if they don't speak Arabic. So I made it some simple rules. You have to know Arabic. You have to accept the interpretation of the scholars of the Quran. You have to accept the teaching of Muhammad in the Hadith. If you don't believe in these, I don't have time to talk with you. Oh, that's not what Allah actually meant. Says who? Me. Really?
Yeah, who does your authority extends how far?
They think they don't need the teaching of Muhammad. They don't need Muslim scholars. They just need the Quran alone. And by the way, they interpret the Quran however they wish.
I've noticed, and Ave Maria says, yeah, people are fact-checking them now. Exactly. We have the internet. We have Grok. We have ChatGPT. You can put these books in there and tell it, okay, talk to me. I mean, we've got them dead to rights. I mean, ask yourself, pre-1980s publications of the hadiths, they're missing. You can't find them. They've scrubbed the internet of all the pre-1982.
They used to be, you know what I love about the hadiths years ago, which I wish I saved it, like you're talking about. It used to be topical. The Quran, the hadith commands you cannot kill women and children. The following one, the hadith command you can kill women and children. It's the opposite because it's topical. So they change it and they change the numbers, and now it's like, to search for it takes you hours. You have to be a good scholar of researcher online to find out these hadiths. But when I read the topical hadiths years ago, I could not help but to laugh. I said, are they really stupid? Look at the next topic. It is the opposite of what you're just reading.
Yep. I know. I mean, you see it in the Sharia as well. I mean, where they tell you kill babies, kill women, go for it, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
So they're full of fear, and of course, they try to explain to the man in charge what took place on their first trip and how they found the silver in their sacks. They explained that they had brought the silver back along with extra silver to buy grain for their second trip, and they were suffering from silver poisoning. And one guy had silver fall on his toes, and he had a fat toe. Yeah, it's true story. I'm just. The story sounds better now.
Now you're talking like a Muslim scholar. You add it to the Bible, man. Don't add to the Bible. Stick with the Bible.
No, you see, I'm not lying about Muhammad. I'm lying for Muhammad.
No, for Muhammad, that's okay. Muhammad did not.
You need to understand the context here.
Yeah.
Muhammad did not mention that the man had received the silver on their previous trip, and then he brought out to them their brother Simeon. Then they entered Joseph's house and gave him the gift. Joseph asked them about their old father, and they said he was in good health. Then Joseph lifted up his eyes, saw Benjamin. Joseph's heart ached for Benjamin. He quickly left the room because he yearned for his brother, and he wept. And Joseph washed his face, returned to the room, composed himself, and directed that the meal be served. The account goes on to say that the Egyptians ate separately from the Hebrews, that Joseph set his brothers at the table according to their birth order, from oldest to youngest. And Benjamin received 5 portions of food compared to the rest of his brothers. All this occurred, and Joseph never told any of his brothers who he was. That's in Genesis 43. Then we'll paraphrase Genesis 44, but not as badly as the Quran, I hope.
No. I'm much smarter than Allah in gibberish. And
Okay, good. I'll take your word for it, because so far you're also funnier. I'll say that.
I'm my best. I'm doing my best.
We can read that Joseph commanded the steward of his house to give his brothers plenty of food and put the silver cup in the mouth of Benjamin's sack. The brothers left in the morning, and Joseph asked the steward of his house to follow them and stop them from leaving the country. When the brothers said that, were they leaving through the door?
No, they're leaving the country as like you know, if he
At
doesn't
the
go
door.
for a mile or two, then he stops them. Don't let them leave
But the door, they came in through the door, right?
There's no door. The door is only for Muhammad and the Quran. Yeah, we never have doors in Egypt. Trust me, I know this for a fact. It's a
You don't
big
have a
country.
door into the country. There's no like
It's a big country. We will never have
Narnia,
walls.
cupboard
Yeah.
door, like Narnia. You sure?
No
No
door.
cupboard door, no special cupboard.
No doors then, no doors now. Even until now, we still have any doors in Egypt. Yeah.
I
Wait
know,
a
man.
minute. Let me take it back. We have a big wall between us and Gaza, bigger than Trump wall in the south here. Okay.
Okay, so maybe you guys can build Trump a wall then. So when the brothers said they had not stolen from the master, they said that whoever took the cup must die. As the steward searched, he began with the bags of the oldest brother and continued down to the youngest. The steward found the cup in Benjamin's sack. What happened then? Did the Egyptian offer them the camel's load, as written in the erroneous story of the Quran? No. Did Joseph's brother say that Benjamin's brother had stolen before, as Muhammad made up this story? No. The reaction was that they ripped their clothes. Then
That's
they
a
returned
normal. Remember that they begged their father for a whole year to let them have Benjamin to go back to Egypt. And the older brother said, you take my two sons if I did not bring Benjamin back to you. And now they're about to lose him. Oh, his brother stole him before. What a stupid Quran. It's very holy. Lots of holes.
Yeah. By the way, Catherine says that ChatGPT compares Islam to a death cult, opposite of Christianity. So you have to be very careful with these large language models. Of course, you've got to be very careful how you use them. But you need to. What I typically work with is I prompt these models to utilize the trivium very carefully. That's grammar, logic, and rhetoric in that order. But also, I explain that they are to strictly use non-contradictory logic or Aristotelian logic. They have to conform to that strictly, no exceptions. And then they start to give you answers that are just shocking, because then they'll actually start telling the truth. And because they are programmed to be inoffensive, they are programmed to be neutral and not necessarily prioritize truth-telling. But if you just tell them to be logical, these language models typically will just comply, and they'll start saying things that'll shock you pink. Okay, let me see. So they returned to the city. They stood before Joseph. Joseph spoke to them very angrily. How dare you steal my cup? There, Judah spoke, because, he also said to them, how am I going to give people their share of grain without my cup? I've got 5,000 people coming here this week.
All the people standing in line since morning, waiting to be, taken the
Given
load, and they're waiting for the cup.
Yeah, how do I give them a cup of grain if I don't look hello?
Makes sense. You see, the Quran interpretation is very important. Now we can figure out with the Bible too.
So there Judah spoke before Joseph, and Judah condemned himself and his brothers so that they would all be slaves. However, Joseph refused and said, no, only the man in whose sack the cup was found will be my slave, and the rest may go back to your father in peace. There Judah spoke again before Joseph, told him the story once again about their father and how the loss of Benjamin would take the life of their father if they did not return with him. They explained to their ruler, Joseph, that Benjamin's brother Joseph had died, and that Benjamin was the only one the father had, and he loved his younger son very much. Judah explained to Joseph that if he were to take Benjamin, their father would die. Judah offered himself as a slave in place of Benjamin. Continuing in Genesis 45, Joseph could not contain himself. He shouted, asking everyone to leave except for his brothers. He cried loudly, so loudly that all the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard him. Joseph revealed to his brothers that he was their brother and asked if his father was still alive. Then Joseph asked his brothers to come near him. He revealed that he was Joseph, whom they had sold into slavery, and that God had sent him before them to Egypt. Joseph explained to them that the famine had been going on for 2 years, and 5 more years were to come. Then Joseph told them to bring their father and all their possessions to Egypt. After that, Joseph fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and they both wept. He kissed his brothers and wept upon them also. Notice the great difference between the true account of Genesis and the counterfeit story in the Quran, especially when you add the foolish interpretations by these Muslim scholars. You've got an I there after the L. Joseph did not sleep all night with his brother Benjamin, holding him and smelling his clothes like a bit of a perv, to be honest. Joseph did not tell Benjamin in private that he was his brother and keep our little evening session secret between us, right?
Yeah, quick.
So the news of Joseph being reunited with his brothers was told to Pharaoh's household, and Pharaoh invited them to come to Egypt. Joseph asked his brothers to go and bring their father to him. He gave them carts to bring Jacob and their possessions back. When they arrived back at their father's home and told Jacob what had occurred, Jacob rejoiced and his spirit revived, and he said, "It is enough. My son Joseph is alive. I will go and see him before I die." Very moving story. Every time I read it, I can't stop the tears as they flow from my eyes, and my heart fills with compassion for Joseph and his life's story. And Muhammad destroyed this wonderful account as he wrote it in the Quran. It's like taking the color out of a flower and removing the smell out of a rose. When we read the story in the Quran, it's like watching a movie without sound or in black and white. Muhammad continued the story of Joseph in the Quran in Quran 12:78, and they said, "O you, the dear, surely he has a very aged father, so take one of us instead of him. Surely we see that you are the
Here
doers of..."
in the Quran, it's similar to the Bible, but it's general. It does not tell you who said that. The details is missing even when he quotes the Bible. Take one of us. No, it was Judas. Say, take me.
You see, the details are missing because of holiness. How can the Quran be holy? You see, Usama, the devil is in the details. So as not to invite in the devil, the Quran omits all the details.
I got you. I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Because
I believe if Muhammad wrote one story in the Quran with any detail, it will be circling all over the earth, around the world, as he will be confusing every other story with it. And the best thing about one of them tells the others, the one on the right, the one in the middle, told them. No names. No names, no cities, no location, no time.
You see, now there's already too much details. There's right, there's left, there's middle. That's too much detail. The devil is in those details. What you've got to say is the brother told the other brother that the brother from the other brother had said what the brother had said. Do you see? I mean,
now you know for sure you're not going to make any mistakes.
South Park does it very well, you see, because you've got to Marklar the Marklar. Marklar? Okay.
Yeah.
So South Park solved that problem.
Okay.
Right. So when Joseph's brothers asked, okay, so he said, Allah's refuge, that we should take anyone but him with whom our property was found.
Allah's refuge? Will Joseph the Egyptian talk like Egyptian? The man, will he use the word Allah's refuge?
He was a Muslim. Hello.
No. In the story, he's supposed to be.
I'm sorry, Usama. He was a Muslim.
And he said it in the Coptic language as interpreter. Allah's refuge. Yes,
it's a true story.
I know. I read
Muslims,
it.
That's how Muslims talk. And Joseph was a Muslim.
Yeah, I know.
If you read it in the Injil, that's what's in the Injil.
Allah's refuge, yeah.
Before it was corrupted.
But the funny thing is, it is not a Hebrew phrase. It's not a Coptic expression phrase. So how can Joseph use it? Was he an Arab too? Was the Egyptian speak Arabic at the time?
You know, are you questioning the Quran?
I know. I'm wrong, man. I'm wrong.
So when Joseph's brothers tried to ask the mighty one, Joseph, according to Ibn Kathir's interpretation, to take an innocent person instead of the guilty one, Benjamin, Joseph refused this because it was not allowed.
It's not allowed?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The guy's the most powerful man in the country. Like,
no. But Joseph, at that time, in the culture, in the system, in the Judeo, in the laws of the land, he can take all of them slave. He can kill them all. He's the man in charge of Egypt. Who's going to tell him what to do?
It's not allowed because reasons.
Yeah, I concur.
So let's just do that again. Okay, well, so because it's not allowed, so they only took the person with whom they found their property. Then Ibn Kathir made fun of the people of the book, as he said that Joseph had told them at this point who he was, and that this is just one of the errors that reveal the corruption of their books, the Genesis account. What?
Yeah, since the Quran is contradicting the Bible, therefore the Bible is wrong and the Quran is true. You see, it's a corruption in the Bible. You got it?
Ibn Kathir stated that the people of the book did not understand at all.
Oh, yeah. He knows it. He knows it with his great, excellent fabrication to the nonsensical Quran, and we did not understand it at all. As a matter of fact, I can say 8, 9 years old little girl, a Jewish or a Christian, can understand and answer all the questions that we have offered so far for that portion of the Quran, chapter 12, than any scholar of Islam. Then Allah, Jibreel, and Muhammad can answer the same questions.
Yeah. So we've got like another page and a half here, I think, to the end of the section. But Ibn Kathir sees the Bible as a corrupt story because the Bible is corrupt.
Sure. That makes sense.
So if the story in the Bible did not match what was in the Quran, then the conclusion was that the Bible was wrong, even if the story in the Quran was incoherent. Yes, the account in the Bible is not only true, but complete. It's coherent. It actually makes sense. With all the details we need to understand the history of Joseph's life. Ibn Kathir himself used this account from the Bible. I was thinking about that. He actually quotes details that are in the Bible.
All the time. Not just in Joseph's story, in every other biblical story.
Yeah, you couldn't do...
But he pick and choose, Lloyd. If he like it, he take it. If he does not like it because it does not fit with the Quran, he refuses it and say, oh, it's wrong.
I can believe he was busy picking shoes at the time and he missed when the guy was talking about the Joseph story. Yeah. He was busy picking shoes at that point. Maybe he was picking cotton as well. I don't know, stuffing it in his ears. Who knows what he was doing? So, more errors. Okay, Quran 12:80. So when they had lost hope of him, they went and spoke privately. The oldest said, did you not know that your father indeed has taken a firm oath from you before Allah? Jacob is now a Muslim too?
Yeah, all of them are Muslims.
And how formally you failed in your duty with regard to Joseph. So I'll not depart the land until my father gives me permission, or may Allah judge. These are all Muslims now?
Oh, all of them are Muslims.
And he's the best of judges. Return to your father, say, oh, our father, surely your son has stolen. We bear witness only of what we knew, and we were not a keeper to the unseen. And ask the village which we were in and of the caravan with which we have arrived, and surely we are truthful.
MashaAllah.
Right?
MashaAllah. Do you understand the portion? Let me give you my own thought about it. It is like they were not in Egypt alone, but there were other people from some other village went with them and they saw all what happened. So he decided, that brother, which Muhammad did not give us his name, and Allah does not give us his name, and scholars do not know his name, he decided to stay in Egypt. So now Joseph have his brother Benjamin as a slave. That other brother, he said, I'm not going back home until my father tell me it's okay for me to come home. And tell him what happened, that your son stolen. And since he's stolen, now he's taken a slave. And if you don't believe us, you don't trust us, ask the other people who came all the way from the land of Canaan with us, who saw what happened, because they were witnesses. The people saw what happened. The whole story was all known. Yeah, you got it?
No, but I also stopped caring.
Okay.
Because this hurts. Ibn Kathir's interpretation of these verses. In fact, it's like, ask the village which we were in. Like, yeah, just call them up. Like, hello, village. There's an old saying that
used to have, listen. You think you have a smartphone? They used to have much smarter phone than that.
That's smartphone back then.
He can actually dial and talk with everybody immediately on the spot.
They say, ask the village to tell you the story. That's the old proverb.
I wonder how they translate this in some other English translation. Can you do me a favor? Seriously, let's look at that verse.
There's an old African proverb.
1282. No. Just press me. Go to other Quran online, 1282, and tell me how they fabricate a meaning for that. 1282. That's worth it for today.
Ask the township where we were, and the caravan with which we traveled hither. Lo, we speak the truth. And ask the city in which we were, and the caravan in which we came. Ask at the town where we. How many towns are between Egypt and where these guys came from?
First of all, there's no other line. But first, the word is qarya, which is village, not Medina, which is town. Okay, so I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna show it to you on live. So I'm gonna share. Let me go to your program again. I'm gonna share. Here we go. Share. And I'm gonna open the Arabic Quran. I'm gonna share. Can you see my computer, brother?
I'm seeing it.
Okay. واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها. I'm gonna control C that. Okay. I'm gonna go down on that one. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go to another share. And this time I'm gonna go to Google Translate. Okay. We're gonna go to Google Translate because I want to show you that there is no way under the blue sky. And can you see my screen now or no?
You're not sharing. You have to share.
Oh, let me go back. That's okay. Boy, hey man, I'm learning. I'm learning. Give me a couple of years. Here we go. We're gonna use Google Translate and we're gonna share. Okay, you see now. You see Google. You see that? Control V and ask the town in which we were. First of all, the word qarya here is not town. It's the word village. And the proof is very simple. If we take the verse of the Quran out, guess what's going to happen to the town? It's going to turn to what?
Village.
But the smart Muslims, they own Google Translate. So if you put the verse from the Quran, automatically it will give you what they want you to have in the English language.
I've noticed this. Google puts out the translation the Muslims want. Yeah, I've seen this.
Exactly. So what is the word qarya? Is village. What about the word Medina? I'm going to show you the other word. Medina. Here we go. Medina. Oh, come on, get rid of this. What's the word Medina? City. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Qarya.
Medina is a city, Qarya is a village. Everybody knows. So, my English translation of the Quran is not just perfect. It's 100% accurate. Perfect. No kidding. No joke. And if you read 10, 50, 20, there's 30 some translation out there for the Quran. They all play games. They all fix the Quran in English. I love what my friend Yusuf said. One of the reasons he left Islam because they lie in the translation of the Quran. You see, why do we lie when we translate the Quran?
But what town? Was it one of the towns on the way? Because how far did they travel from wherever they live?
Between the land of Canaan and Egypt, there's no towns. There's no villages. There's no cities. There's no stop area for rest area. It's a good 12-hour trip. Okay, 12-hour trip. End of story. Take me out.
Camels.
Take me out, bro. Take me out. I don't know how to take me out.
Okay, right. I'll just kick it out. There we go. Okay, back to this right here. So Ibn Kathir's interpretation was almost a word-for-word copy of the Genesis account with alterations, such as mistakenly indicating that it was Reuben instead of Simeon who was held by Joseph. And he added some additional details. He said this bad news had spread all over Egypt to the point that the travelers knew about it. Once again, how did Ibn Kathir know that the oldest son's name was Reuben? Because the Quran never mentions this. This information did not exist in the Quran. How was the news spread all over Egypt? So what have we learned so far? Benjamin is taken by Joseph. Benjamin was also smelled up by Joseph, cuddled with whole night. That is disturbing just to think about. Joseph told Benjamin that he was his brother and to keep our little thingy secret. You know, what happened last night, just keep it between us, okay? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Was it good for you too?
Yeah.
All the brothers left and returned to their father except Reuben rather than Simeon. Jacob was about to receive the bad news about losing his son Benjamin. Let's see the reaction of Jacob to the news. I'd like to remind the reader of what took place when Jacob received the first sad news that his son Joseph had been devoured by a wolf. In verse 18, and they put on his kamis with a lie, false blood.
Kamis is a shirt, non-Arabic word, shirt. Yep.
And he said, yet your soul lightens the affair, so patience is beautiful. And Allah is the one who is asked for assistance about what you describe.
It is so stupid when you go to a father who loves his son and tell him your son was devoured by a wolf. Like he said that he will be eaten by a wolf. Oh, take it easy, enjoy life. Hey, Leah, fix coffee for the guys. They work hard all day. Forget about my son. Will this make any sense to any Muslim who have any logic or common sense?
No, you just ask Allah for assistance. It's like I had a flat tire. I phoned 911 Allah, and I said I need some assistance with my tire because Allah is the one you ask for assistance about what I described.
Yeah,
it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So
he did not get upset, brother. He didn't cry. He didn't nothing. It's like, oh well, let's have coffee.
Yeah. In verse 83 in the Quran, he says, yet you have arranged all this affair among yourselves, so patience is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Perhaps Allah will bring all of them to me. Surely He is the knowing, the wise. Yep. Inshallah. Ibn Kathir said that Jacob meant the matter was not what you, his sons, described it as. For Benjamin did not steal, but was the only the sons' arrangement of this matter among themselves. He knew there was a problem. Ibn Kathir stated, what?
Yeah.
So we'll do this last page. Ibn Kathir stated that Ibn Ishaq mentioned that the brothers' neglect of Benjamin was expected, since they had done that before with Joseph. As for the interpretation, perhaps Allah will bring all of them to me. Ibn Ishaq said, what Jacob meant by all was Joseph, Benjamin, and Reuben.
MashaAllah. So he knows that his son Joseph is alive.
The hikmah is flowing right now. I've read the Quran. Do you guys feel...
But notice a little bit later, he will actually cry to lose his eyesight over his son Joseph.
Yeah, he turned away.
The contradiction, Lloyd, is beyond measure. You have to be real stupid to believe in the scholar Ibn Isaac and Ibn Kathir and Ibn Umar and Ibn Ali and Ibn al-Tabri. Go ahead.
I mean, these guys... Here's the proof of the amazing contradiction between the verses of the Quran and the scholar's interpretation. And I'd like you guys to know the author of this book is on the channel with me right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So if you have a question, you ask him right now. It's perhaps because Muhammad knew the end of the story, he mixed truth with lies to manipulate the story's ending. If Jacob knew that his son Joseph was alive, then that was why he did not weep for him or show any sorrow. In verse 18 of the Quran, when his sons told him Joseph was eaten by a wolf, and all we have is this big red cape that he used to wear while walking in the woods, collecting berries and going from grandma's house.
Yes.
This big red cape was all they had.
Superman, Super Joseph cape. Yeah.
Little Red Riding Joseph. Excuse me.
Yeah. You're excused.
Little Red Riding Joseph's cape was all that was left after he was eaten by a wolf. And then they went to the wolf, and the wolf... But okay, let's not tell that story now. That's a secret for later. Yeah. So similarly, in verse 83, he would be justified in hoping that he would have Joseph back. If this were true, then one must ask a question. Why did Jacob turn away from his sons? Why did Jacob show his sorrow and grief for Joseph to the point that his eyes turned white?
That's my question. Yes, indeed.
Ibn Kathir said that Jacob cried so much that he lost his sight. This proved that he didn't know that Joseph was alive. It is a huge error in Muhammad's early description of the story.
Or just simply pure contradiction of the holy word of Allah in the Quran.
Some people like full-length capes, and I mean, we can give them that when we redo the story. When the next edition of the Quran comes around, we're going to fix that. We're going to make it a proper cape. Maybe we're going to have like, that there's that old movie made in the 20s, that really bad, good movie and you just see like Dracula like swings the cape and then he walks like this. It's about Dracula and UFOs, about a pilot that sees three cigar-shaped UFOs that are actually flying saucers. It's about this really bad film made on a something wood about a anyway.
You're
But
killing me, Smalls. Yep.
But you know, Dracula comes out. We'll have a proper cape for that. So in Quran 12:85, they said, "We swear by Allah, you'll be." Man, I'm starting to swear at Allah. I'm telling you, you will continue to remember Joseph until you are very sick, or you be among the perished.
Until you die. That's the whole purpose.
This is really bad Shakespeare. The sons of Jacob were so surprised that Jacob still remembered Joseph. Yeah, I forgot my son that got eaten by the wolf. Yeah, I forgot. Who now again? Joseph who? Starman. Joseph who? Starman.
Yeah.
And wondered if he would continue to be sorrowful and cry until he died. Then in verse 86, he said, "Surely I only complain about my sorrow and grief to Allah, and I know from Allah what you do not know." This is how Ibn Kathir knows.
Secret
He knows
code
from
here.
Allah. Yeah.
Listen, that is the secret code. I know what you do not know.
That's how Ibn Kathir knows this stuff, because he gets it. He knows from Allah what you do not know. True story. And the verse shows a contradiction, because Jacob was complaining to Allah, but at the same time, he told his sons that he knew from Allah something that they themselves did not know. And the greatest contradiction of the entire story comes from verse 87, which leads us to the next subheading: Joseph's brothers' third trip to Egypt. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, guys, stop on a cliffhanger. Stop on a cliffhanger, Usama.
Yeah, because if you read one more sentence, I maybe get sick.
You know, the author should.
You know what? All it takes is 20 minutes from the Quran, and you, if you are a Muslim with logic and common sense, go watch any of the broadcasts we did. I don't know how many we did so far, but we did plenty.
We're number 27, by the way.
Huh?
This is number 27.
27. All it takes is watch 15 minutes out of the 27, and that'll be enough. Just pick up any one of the previous 27 and watch 15 minutes. If you are a person with logic and common sense, and say goodbye to Allah, goodbye to Jibreel, goodbye to Muhammad, goodbye to the foolishness of the Islam. Yes, the Quran is very holy. It is. I don't see even body anymore in it. There's no body in the Quran because there are lots of holes. You know, you can always put a couple, 3 holes in a page, okay? Imagine, look with me here, Lloyd, look at this. There's 3 holes here. You see them? Yeah. Imagine if this holes is not 3, but 50 in that page. How in the world you can write material in a page when you have 50 holes? How about if I make him 100 holes? The Quran does not have any paper. There's no fabric. All what you got is holes. That's how I know that it is the holy word of Allah.
You know, all I know is that I'm glad the trauma has now stopped.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, please make it stop.
And it is. We're in a break right now until we meet again. Not next week, the following week.
Yep. So I won't be here next week, guys. I will try to be on tomorrow. So Emmanuel, we need to chat tomorrow morning. So Emmanuel, I think you're still here. Hopefully, let's chat tomorrow morning. I'll drop you a line. So let's try to get together in the morning, and I'll try to do one more talk tomorrow night. And then I have to take the rest of the week off because I've got family and I've got stuff and I've got places to go and places to be and so on and so on and so on. But I'm going to miss you. I will be thinking of you, but not you, Usama. I will not be thinking of you because I'm trying to get as far away from that book as possible.
Listen. We're going to do a little bit of Calvinist, and that will change a little bit of the flavor so you don't get sick too much from one subject. You can get sick from 2 different subjects. How about that? It's a good idea.
I think we need a change of pace because the Quran is doing my head in, man.
But listen, brother. You just take it for what it is. It's going to get better because after Joseph, it's a different chapter. It's a different story. We're almost finished with Joseph. And then some of the stories are going to be small. Some of the stories are big.
It gets better. It has not gotten better.
Well, I'm talking about size-wise, not fabric, not material. It's
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so guys,
Size matter, not the subject. The subject, the whole thing is the same.
yeah, just so if you guys ever meet me and you see me in person and I'm wearing different colored socks, that's not strange. I got it. Basically, I think like the Quran's author. I don't go by color. I go by sock thickness. It's just a standard that you don't understand. That's all.
Standard you don't understand. MashaAllah. Hey, I like that. The standards you don't understand. I'm getting better myself. I can
Yeah.
figure out some of the stuff you talk about. All right, Lloyd, that
Guys.
was an awesome experience of struggling and fighting and that's it.
Yeah.
This is my
People
story.
actually enjoyed it. We have comments that are complimentary. So thank you very much.
We need to check on these people mentality and make sure that they're all there.
Maybe you guys can buy me like some therapy for Christmas because I'm gonna need it
for the next year. Because we're gonna be going with these two books for the next 2 years or maybe 3 years.
No, please make it stop. No, I'm gonna have to fake my death at that point. So So guys, we'll call it a night here. We'll be back. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back.
You can't start something and not finish it, man. You have to finish it.
Yeah, because I'm unavailable until the 18th, 19th, 20th. I'm only available like the Monday the next week at earliest. So not next week, but and we check what's the earliest date I'm next available. So that would be the 21st is the next sort of theoretical date that I'm available. I'm not available.
Maybe I will take that day. How about that? I'll be nice. I'll take it.
I'll let you know. I'll have my people call your people.
All right. But I don't have any people. It's me. Myself.
So I'll talk to your people. If you don't get the message, just too bad. So guys, we'll call it a night here. Thank you all very much. I hope you all have a wonderful time.
And happy 4th of July for all the American wonderful people.
Yeah, happy 4th of July. Happy Trump Day, because you all know that day is going to be eventually going to be calling it the Trump Day.
Everything is going to be Trump from now on.
The Trump Day of victory. And yeah, so they're looking forward to that. And you know what? For Christmas, that the Trump fragrance, I was looking at that stuff. I really got to try that one. I wonder if it'll come here. So Tom, you're very welcome.
You have his own clone now, Trump clone.
Yeah. Ave Maria says she's going to be wearing different color socks too, but because of brain damage from the Quran. That's probably a good reason. So
you know what? You complain so much about the Quran, brother. If you say the Shahada, you get over all this, and you.
No. I'm going to say the Shana na. Good night, sweetheart. Yeah, it's time to go home. I think that the Shana na is the only thing I'm saying.
I like it a lot.
So guys, let's say the Shana na, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. All right. So have a good one. Usama, it's been great.
Thanks a lot. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
We'll see you all soon. Take care. Bright yellow thick socks. Yes, you can do it too. Cheers, guys. Good night. God bless.